Gordon done, pardon me, I found it most interesting, and I'm sure our viewers did too. I'd been looking forward to that segment for a long time. We've been told, fellas, do we have that film in? Has it arrived yet?
Yes, it's ready.
Well, I have the word now that Bob Walker's film has just arrived into our studios from Tampa. It's been processed, is now edited, up in the control room, and we're ready to see it. So, boys, will you roll it? As we look at this film, we do have some information out of the Tampa area. They got off relatively light, and as you can see in some of these scenes of the downtown area, nothing like some of the areas you've seen earlier today. Tampa had expected the worst and was prepared for Hurricane Donna as we were here. At least 15,000 persons were evacuated from the beach areas over on the Gulf beaches. Tides of 5 to 7 feet above normal had been anticipated, and 1,300 people were told that they should be housed in Hillsborough High School. As in other areas, much of the damage was broken glass. The suburban areas had floodwaters, and the usual debris, trees and palm trees, were blown and strewn around. This film was shot by Bob Walker, our Tampa correspondent. He flew it by plane, and as we said it a moment ago, it just arrived into the studios, was processed, and taken to the control room so we could show it to you before we left the air. The people of the Tampa Bay area were quite fortunate indeed. It was at first thought that the storm would head directly for them and strike the Gulf beaches. And those people over there, it hasn't been too long. Come right on in, Bill. It hasn't been too long since those people in that area experienced some very serious flooding from heavy rains, and I don't think some of those areas could have taken it. We have just called in Bill Ross from the WCKT Weather Center. And on my left over here is Gordon Shaw. We've been talking with Gordon throughout this program. You've seen a lot of him. And then next to Gordon, we have Ron Miller. Just a few of the men that have done such a tremendous job here at WCKT Channel 7 in getting the information to you.
I might mention Charles Baxter, who also did a steady stroke
I
out
was,
at the Weather
I
Bureau.
was very sorry that Charlie couldn't make it today because he spent a lot of time out at the Weather Bureau, but he was detained, and probably he's home sleeping. I wouldn't doubt it.
He has monster trouble periodically.
Does he? Well, Bill and Gordon, you two fellas spent most of your hours out at the Weather Bureau during this storm. Now, you had a chance to observe these fellas out there and see how they operate and see what goes on. Were you impressed? What's your reaction?
I don't believe that any time since, well, perhaps even the early stages of World War II, have I seen the level of dedication on the part of any group of people in my life. Those men take their jobs seriously. They do on a day-to-day basis. But at this time, without any hurry, without any chaos, without any fear, they were doing their job and doing it at their very hardest, with no concern about sleep, with no concern about public credit. And of course, when the television stations try to get their cameras in, and perhaps I'm leaning over their shoulder watching, that constitutes a little bit of harassment to them. Patience, no lost tempers, just marvelous people to work with right from the start. And this goes all the way through. We were either snatching at Les Conover in the radar room who was taking those pictures, such as the one I just showed, or hovering around Wally Davis or Leonard Pardue, or certainly Mr. Dunn himself, and their patience and willingness to get out this information. They understood our problems, sympathized with them. In reality, we had no right to expect that of them.
Yes, they had their hands full, but they were very cooperative, I'm sure. Do you have anything to add to that, Gordon?
Well, I have this to add, that there are many doors at the Weather Bureau with do not enter authorized personnel and so forth, signs like that on them, and yet I have yet to find one door up there that was not made completely accessible to those of us from Channel 7 at any time that we needed information or assistance, personal or technical of any kind. And I personally found that that radar room, from which you saw the evidence of those pictures, was the most interesting and the most informative apparatus. The fact that they could track the eye of that storm as accurately and as consistently from 250 miles out. When it first started to show up on the radar screen as an eye, I know Bill will back me up on this, it was something you could hardly take your eyes away.
I agree. One interruption I must make to amend just one thing Gordon said, because this was after Gordon had been on for 40 hours, and we gave him a chance to get something like 40 minutes sleep, and he wasn't out there. As when the storm actually entered into the Florida area and things got very tense, it was absolutely necessary that all press, all television, all radio be kept out of those rooms because of the fact that so much complicated data had to be correlated that additional harassment might have made even a slight error, and a slight error could not be tolerated. So there was a period there, a definite period, when nobody was allowed in those rooms, and completely and rightly so.
But it was made understood, I imagine, just why.
Oh, they were very nice about it.
One thing I noticed, Bill, was the terrific amount of cooperation and coordination between civilian and military people.
Yes.
Because you have Air Force and Navy and the Hurricane Research folks and the Weather Bureau personnel all there together, working just hand in hand all the time.
We could probably sum it up then by saying any rumors, wild or whatnot, that you've heard about weathermen saying they might be strange people. According to you fellas, they're pretty good guys, huh?
Indeed, yes. Dedicated.
Yes.
Really dedicated.
Ron, you've been spending some sleepless hours here. How many all told? Do you know? Have you added it up yet?
I was somewhere about 60, a little more than 60.
I don't know who holds the record around here,
I think
but
that's about it.
I wouldn't venture to take a guess. Do you have anything outstanding in your mind that happened during this storm that you'd like to pass along while we're just more or less having a general bull session here?
Yes, I think two things. One is during the night hour, early morning hours especially, we had a great number of phone calls. Our receptionists and telephone operators were very patient with the hundreds of phone calls. We had perhaps thousands. And I spoke with many of the people too. Almost everyone showed considerable concern, but no panic at all. Then the other thing was we got one phone call from a man who said he wanted to know how to fix his television set. Every time he tried to watch Channel 7, he had to turn on his electric stove.
Well, thanks a lot for coming in, fellas. We're about to run out of time here, and I just want to mention a few more names. We had Max Moore up in Fort Lauderdale, of course, Zeke Siegel, Ben Silver, Dick Lobo, Jay Weand, Rusty Solis, Dick Ash, and of course News Director Gene Stroll. It's too numerous to mention.
And Don and Bob.
Right. So without a doubt, the people of Dade County, as far as we're concerned, should be commended for the way they handle themselves through this emergency. With only few exceptions, the residents and tourists alike did take advice of what they were told to do, and they did it. Those who took the necessary precautions came out of the storm with very little or no damage to their homes and property. But the many who refused to listen are now paying, and it'll be several days before we know how much they're going to pay. This is Wayne Fariss, WCKT News.